Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to another Artifact Remix Draft. Without further ado, let's just hop into the pack one, pick one. A very, very solid pack where there's tons of options I don't think you'd be wrong to pick, like Barbed Batterfist, Scrapwork Cohort, and Oaken Siren as premium commons, even the Arcbound prototype, because Modular plays so well with so many artifact creatures. We could also go for Arcbound Shikari. That would be the most narrow card we could take here, but if Boros ends up open, you can make a really nice modular deck with this card and a bunch of Arcbound prototype style cards. So that'd be the highest upside card if it's open. Daneth is a little more flexible and still really good. There's plenty of equipment in the format to buffer up. Scrap Trawler is solid because there's so many artifact cards. I think I'm going to go for the Daneth here. We'll meet in the middle there between power level and flexibility and take the strongest mono-colored card in the pack. Plenty of great ways to buffer up. There are +1/+1 counters in the format, and there are good equipment in the format, so tons of ways to make her incredible. We've now got Captured by Lagax to buffer up if we want to go for green-white counters. We've got Ingenious Smith sticking to white as a really good 2-for-1 play. It's going to draw us an extra artifact and give us a threat that has to be killed, because if you don't kill the Ingenious Smith, it's going to get a +1/+1 counter pretty much every single turn. So that's an incredible card. It's also threefold Thunder Hulk, but white is probably, it's definitely one of the most aggressive colors in the format. It's either the first or second most aggressive color, tied with like red there. So a 7-mana win condition can be a bit tough. I think this is a lot better for a grindier kind of black deck, green deck, maybe blue deck. I think I'm just going to go deeper into white aggro with Ingenious Smith into Danitha. That's the other thing. Even if white wasn't one of the more aggressive colors, Danitha is certainly one of the more aggressive cards. She's going to play a lot better with an Ingenious Smith than a 7-drop bomb. So pick 3 now. We've got Recommission. This card is not the greatest card in the universe because it's not particularly flexible. If you have it in your opening hand, it can sit there dead in your hand and you feel like you've just mulliganed for nothing. But if you do draw it later in the game when you've already traded off a good 2 or 3 mana creature, can be really good as like a second copy of a premium uncommon like Ingenious Smith and Danitha. So I don't hate taking a Recommission here just to cut white off, but it is probably weak enough, narrow enough to take one of the better monocolored cards like Metallic Rebuke or Deadly Dispute, taking something off color here. I'll go for the Metallic Rebuke. It's really good in a deck with a lot of equipments. It's really good in almost any deck in the format because everything's going to have a lot of artifacts, but equipment are particularly good with this because they are artifacts that sit on your board that don't care if they're tapped or untapped at all. So improvising with an equipment, tapping them for mana, is just completely free. There's absolutely no cost to it if you have the equipment on board, so big fan of the Rebuke. Now we can stick heavy to white with the Thraben Inspector. Goes great with our first 2 picks. This is a great card with equipment because you're going to play it, you're going to get extra value off that clue token, and having the equipment to buff this body is going to make sure that that stat line is also relevant, because that's the one kind of flaw. Like a 1/2 doesn't usually end up being that relevant later in the game. Well, if you've got enough equipment, it can be. Chrome Courier is another excellent value play if we just want to dive headfirst straight into blue-white, but I'll stay a tiny bit more flexible here and let our second color be a little more open. Super locked in on white, though. Danitha and Ingenious Smith, Thraben Inspector here. Now an Arcbound Mouser. Alternatively, we can take the best monocolored pack and again, which is Voltage Surge or Rebel Salvo. Honestly, I don't know which one's better. Probably Rebel Salvo, because if we end up in Boros, we will have the equipment to get the affinity off of this. So Mouser or Salvo. I feel like Mouser looks a little bit awkward for our deck right now. We don't have any artifact creatures yet. But when you have the artifact creatures, this card plays pretty well, and it's also really good with equipment. Yeah, I could see a big argument for Salvo or Mouser, but I'm going to stick to white and just take Mouser. And there we go. There's the perfect artifact creature. You get to curve this out right after you play your turn 1 Mouser. So there's your artifact creature. If your Mouser dies, you're putting counters on Justiciar. And in this format, this is pretty much a 2-mana 3/2 lifelink. It's really easy to play 1 artifact almost every single turn, and sometimes you're playing cards that are like 2 artifacts off 1 card. One of the cards we'd take pretty highly here would be like Barbed Spike. So 2-mana equipment that comes with a 1/1 flying artifact creature automatically equipped with it. So that would trigger the Justiciar twice for only 2 mana, and you can attack with it as a 4/3 on turn 3, so that could be great. Pick 7, I do like Tamio's Immobilizer. It's a little bit better in like blue-green where you can proliferate it and get more than 4 taps out of it, but even 4 taps is enough to be super relevant. I might take Rebuke over it though for this deck specifically because we're pretty low curve, pretty fast, and having just 1 mana tempo counterspell could be excellent. So I'll take the Rebuke, and yeah, pick 8 Chrome Courier. Super solid reason to finally lock in and just decide, yeah, blue is our secondary color because kind of all of the 2-color commons are pretty great, and Chrome Courier I think is the best of them. 3 mana for a 1/1 flyer and a card draw spell and life gain. It's really, really, really sweet. It's a great card to throw equipment onto. It's a great card to even fill your graveyard potentially, mill one of your unearthed cards like Scrapwork Cohort while you draw something else. There's just so many like micro synergies with this card that it plays a lot better than it looks, and it already looks pretty good. Disenchant's not bad at all, but Cohort is excellent, getting a super wide board. I don't think Archaeomender is super bad either. The one thing that's awkward about it is you can't really treat it as a 3-mana play because usually you're not going to have a good artifact in your grave till much later. So you kind of have to consider this to be a very late game play, a card you want to draw off the top in the top deck war. But it is good enough. Oops, I forgot to click on it. That's fine. I have cut Archaeomenders most of the time that I've ever drafted them. Now I'll start taking recommissions. This card gets a little bit better when you have stuff to throw things in the grave, like Chrome Courier might accidentally throw a creature in grave. Plus, Chrome Courier is the perfect creature for recommission, because it's just going to die very quickly, so you'll have it in the grave. And yeah, last pick, Sky Swimmer Koi, so we're happy to be in blue, because this card is not unplayable at all. Drawing a card, discarding a card every time you blink is pretty good. Just every time you do anything. Pack 2, pick 1. Panharmonicon's very cute, but it's also 4 mana to not directly impact the board, which can be a death sentence. If you're on the draw and your opponent's aggressive and your turn 4 plays Panharmonicon, good luck. Yeah, I mean, we have cards that would work with it. We've got a few like Justiciar, Ingenious Smith, Thraben Inspector, and Courier. But they're not the most insane cards to trigger ever, so I don't think they're worth taking a whole turn 4 off to do that. I think I'd rather just have the Filigree Attendant. Just a really big flyer in the late game. Good win condition to top things off. Alright, pack 2, pick 2. Scrapwork mod is solid even if you're not playing red. Lets you do some digging for what you need. Lets you go fetch, so to speak. But I think I'm going to take the blue-white duel. Like this a lot in the color pair because it has multiple cards that care about playing artifacts or the number of artifacts under control. So it's better than just like a blue-white duel. It's a blue-white duel that also triggers Justiciar, or you can draw it off of Ingenious Smith, or it'll make your Filigree Attendant bigger. There's a lot of ways that this plays better than your average just dual land. So it's a pretty high pick. Pick 3, easy, another Justiciar. Although, wow. Rule player is going to be real happy. Migloz is filthy in this format. A 3-mana 4/4 is obviously already massive for the mana cost, but the 3-mana ability, like being able to play your 3-mana 4/4 and blow up your opponent's best permanent with it, because all the best permanents in this format are artifacts, it's just a really sick 2-for-1. So that card is excellent, but we're very far away. Static Net, because I have basically 0 removal right now. We have 2 Metallic Rebukes, which will work if we have that mana up at the right time, but if something resolves, we're going to have issues with it, and Static Net can solve those issues. So a little sad to pass on the Mouser for it, but I think it's worth it when we have 0 removal right now. Pick 5, speaking of having 0 removal, we can grab a Disenchant now, and that'd be perfectly fine if we don't find other removal. If we're playing against white, it's particularly good because almost all of white's removal outside of Disenchant is enchantment based, like Static Net, where we can blow it up with a Disenchant and get our card back at instant speed. So in the right matchup, Disenchant's incredible. There aren't too many matchups where it doesn't do anything, but there is one matchup where it's horrific, and that's if we're playing against exactly red-green. But most of the time it'll be at least okay, and sometimes it'll be great. Pick 6. Some mediocre filler stuff here no matter what we take. Oh, unfortunately somebody's been taking all the equipment, so I think somebody might be in like Boros taking all the bone splitters and stuff that we would love in this deck. Yeah, this pack's just not very good. I'll just take the best card for the curve of the Gold Warden's Helm, maybe. Another metallic rebuke. I've already got the double up here. I feel like I'm going to end up cutting some rebukes if I take too many more from here. I could play one Bardiche. Rebuke is considerably better than Bardiche, but probably not the third or fourth rebuke over the first Bardiche. Alright, Old Tech Cloud Guard easily. Veil's pretty fun and pretty cute and can be decent when you have it at the right time. But it's one of the cards that has one of my least favorite flaws, which is when it's a really bad top deck in the late game. Like, I don't love cards that have positions where they're pretty much a do-nothing, right? Like, if you're in a top deck war and you draw Justiciar or a Thraben Inspector, like, you're not super happy, but at least it's a chump block, it buys you some time. If you're in a top deck war and you draw the 2-mana artifact that gives a thing vigilance every turn, you've basically missed. You basically just top decked a land. And that is pretty horrific. Alright, I've got a bunch of rebukes. I'm not going to play Defabricate. It's just a way more narrow counterspell, only countering the artifacts and enchantments. Although there's plenty in the formats, it's not like it's unplayable. I just prefer Rebuke a lot more, and this is a draft pod where it looks like we'll get as many copies of Rebuke as we want. Alright, no equipment. That's rough. Was really hoping to open up like a Bone Splitter here, so it doesn't matter if everybody drafts them all. I can just scoop it out of my pick one. Nope. There's in fact nothing I even want to play. I guess the closest is Zabaz. If we pick up a bunch of modular cards, it'll be decent, but we have one modular card right now. Yeah, this was a complete miss of a pack to open up. We're definitely not a go wide enough deck for On the Job, but maybe we're closer to On the Job than Zabaz. I really feel like either is going to end up getting cut. I'm going to take Zabaz and hope that we get really lucky and get past a bunch of Arcbound stuff, maybe. Alright, pack 3, pick 2, we do get a Rebuke here, but we don't get any equipments. Technically, there's a Gold Warden's Helm, but that's a really bad equipment. It's toughness based, we're looking for power based stuff for Danitha. And our Flyers and our Justiciars and stuff. Yeah, I'll just take another Chrome Courier here over the Rebuke and see if we can wheel the Rebuke. Now, Cogwork Wrestler is pretty nice. It's a combat trick and an instant speed artifact at the same time, which can kind of make it like two combat tricks. Because if we have Justiciar on the board, all of a sudden that's going to be doing more damage than our opponent thought they were. So if I attack with Justiciar and they block with a 3 toughness creature, oops, Cogwork Wrestler, your creature's dead, mine's alive. Same's true for Filigree Attendant. This is bigger when you get another artifact out of nowhere. So we've got some good synergies for Cogwork Wrestler that make it perform well above its weight class, so to speak. Now we can grab Oaken Siren, which is always incredible, and there's just so many artifacts in the format to use the mana on. A 2-mana 1/2 Flying Vigilance is a great card to equip. Sadly, once again, we have not really had any opportunities to pick up any blue or white equipment. Really colorless equipment, for the most part, what we're looking for. But they have been getting scooped up. We haven't seen a single Bone Splitter, and a single Bone Splitter would have went a long way for this deck. Okay, this pack is all unplayable outside of the green cards, Contagious Vorak and Sunder Shaman being the really cool ones. Yeah, I've already got Disenchant and Static Net, which are both way more efficient than Wanderer's Strike when we have nothing to proliferate in this deck, so take an Urza and probably not play him. Pick 6, we can grab a Rebuke now in our third. We've got a Rebuke that might be coming back around to us, pick 9 or pick 10. So I could take this duel. Alternatively, Artisan's fine too. I'm going to take the duel here. If I don't get that other Rebuke to wheel, I'll just main deck this Defabricate and still play triple counter. Hard Evidence, which is fine. Pick 8, not very playable. I think I've got enough better 4-drops that we're not playing Waylaying Pirates. Pick 9. Okay, I don't think this was the pack with Rebuke. I think next pack is. Let's see if it came back. It did. Perfect. Now I can cut Defabricate because Rebuke is just better. Alright, well, we're going to have some issues closing out the game because we didn't get any good equipment to throw onto our flying creatures and stuff. I mean, we've got the one Mirren Bardiche, but that's really expensive. so I don't love that one. I would have really loved a barbed spike or an ancestral blade or a bone splitter. Any of those would have went a really long way. So what are we doing here? Cutting Zabaz because we've only got one other modular card. The rest of our creatures look pretty good. I guess Shipwreck Sentry's a little filler. Sky Swimmer Koi is the most filler of our 4-drops, but every other creature looks pretty great. Definitely running the Recommission. Got the double Chrome Courier combo with that. Sky Swimmer Koi combos a little bit with Recommission, as does the double Stern Lesson. So we keep some combination of these, but I don't think we need all of them. Gold Warden's Helm looks really bad. It's just a 3-mana 2/3. There's almost no point in re-equipping +0, +1 ever. So rarely does Gold Warden's Helm play any better than a 3-mana 2/3, which is just not a good deal when it has no abilities. So we'll cut these 3 for sure. I don't think I'm going to cut a land here. We've got Stern Lessons to discard an extra land and a Sky Swimmer Koi to draw a discard, keep discarding extra lands with that too, potentially. And we've got a very expensive equipment to move around later. We've got unearth costs. We've got some clue tokens with hard evidence, with Thraben Inspector. Got some mana sinky things to use our mana on. Yeah, I think I'd rather play a 17th land than a second Stern Lesson. We'll just go down to 1 copy of that and call it a deck here. Alright, here's a look at the final deck list for today. We're on just the blue-white artifact aggro deck. We got a couple Mandible Justiciars, so as we're playing our other artifacts, this is going to be beating down as a 3/2 lifelinker for only 2 mana. We've got an Ingenious Smith that's going to get much bigger throughout the game, while immediately being a 2-for-1, drawing us another artifact. Got some Chrome Courier 2-for-1s, hitting the board and drawing us another card. Got the world's most awkward Danitha, where we really only have 1 equipment to go with her, sadly. We just didn't really have any opportunities to draft any equipment, sadly, so just the 1 Mirren Bardiche to potentially get on her, but 2/2 First Strike Vigilance Lifelink still pretty spooky threat on the board. We've got Filigree Attendant, which can be a huge finisher, probably our biggest creature in the deck, depending on how many artifacts we have on board, but it should usually be at least like a 4/3 flyer, and plenty of other 3-power flyers at the top end to get some evasive damage in and try to close out the game. Got some pretty excellent interaction here. There's only 2 removal spells with Static Net and Disenchant, but there are 3 Metallic Rebukes that we can cast as really cheap counter spells to keep our opponent's scariest cards from resolving. So that is a look at the deck we're playing today. Hopefully it'll all play pretty well, but we'll find out soon enough as we head into the gameplay. Here we are for game 1 on the draw, and this is part of what I was saying earlier with the flaws of Recommission. It's a little awkward in the opening hand. We don't know when we're going to have something in the grave. But I like the Oaken Siren Metallic Rebuke Static Net start here, so still definitely a keep. Because you just gotta think, if we mulliganed, would we keep this hand and tuck away the Recommission? Yeah, we would keep the 6-card hand, so might as well not mulligan and have the bonus Recommission just in case. And we did draw into a Stern Lesson, so that could discard something for Recommission if nothing ends up dying. It's the full-on mirror match here. Hard Evidence and Thraben Inspector, both cards we have in this deck. Speaking of Metallic Rebuke, which we have revealed to our opponent here, could you imagine if they had Rebuke there? They had 1 blue and 2 clues already, so Metallic Rebuke looking great. Alright, well, looks like we are going to get to Recommission here. We've got nothing else to do for 3 mana, right? Well, I'm only taking 1 damage. I can Stern Lesson instead. And that sets up to be able to Recommission Oaken Siren and cast Metallic Rebuke in the same turn. So, since I'm under really no life total pressure, we might as well spend the time setting up our hand. Alright. I could rebuke this, it'd be a 1-for-1, that'd be fine. Okay. Probably discard the Unearth card, right? That makes a lot of sense. Still gives us some value from the grave. Okay, unfortunately I don't have double blue, so I can't actually recommission the Oaken Siren and hold up Rebuke, so We can Justiciar hold up Rebuke, or we can Unearth Cohort hold up Rebuke. Oh, wait, I can recommission Oaken Siren. What am I talking about? I don't have to... Oh my god, I don't have to spend blue on recommissioning Oaken Siren, because the recommission is not a blue card, even though the Oaken Siren is. I guess we can do this. If they don't have their own Rebuke, then we will have ours up still, casting both the Justiciar and the recommission. Suppose I maybe should have recommissioned first, since we'd be sadder with that getting countered than Justiciar getting countered. I don't think there's a massive difference, though, in the quality of recommission versus Justiciar. Alright, hello, Scrapwork Mutt. Cogwork Wrestler. Alright. If I try to cast Filigree Attendant, I won't have Rebuke up anymore, so let's not try to do that right now. Just Cohort. Holding up Cogwork Wrestler and Metallic Rebuke. Getting a pretty excellent swing. Another Mishra's Bauble. Just cycles away, draws a card. Chief of the Foundry. That's spooky. I can't counter it because I can't double Rebuke here. I can Static Net it though. Yeah, the revealed Rebuke is so bad for me here because they're just going to wait till they have 3 up for everything they cast. I guess it's still, like, not horrific. It's still accomplishing something here just by taxing them every turn, basically. Like, they're not making the most of their mana every turn because they don't want to run anything into Rebuke, so we are slowing them down considerably and having them just sandbag their cards and wait. So, while it isn't technically going to, like, counter anything, it is going to slow our opponent down, which is still a big deal. Pre-combat the Bardiche, so Justiciar gets in. We do still have Rebuke. Oh shoot, no I don't. Oaken Siren cannot cast Rebuke. I needed to not auto-tap there. I needed to tap Oaken Siren towards Bardiche. Which means post-combat Bardiche would be better. Actually, no it wouldn't. It still would have been better pre-combat, because then we attack with a 3-2 Justiciar instead of a 2-3 Oaken Siren. Yeah, they get to resolve Gear Seeker Serpent now, which is a little annoying. Just a misplay on the mana tap there. But we're fine. We can just Static Net it, and we're still winning the game pretty quickly on board. We don't get to Static Net the Chief of the Foundry anymore, but it's not like they have any artifact creatures anyway. So I don't think that matters. Yeah. There's the concession from our opponent. Still going to be enough, even through some misplays, and we will be 1-0 heading into Game 2. Alright, here we are on the play for Game 2. We got a Justiciar to roll out with. Justiciar into Stern Lesson for an instant speed buff. Might be relevant, probably not. It'll probably be better to cast this during our turn either way, though. I will absolutely trade into a Tough Cookie. This can animate every single artifact token they have for the rest of the game, as long as they have the mana up for it. Alright, our opponent's cool with the trade too. I might as well gain 1 more life. I don't think I'm going to Rebuke any 3-drop. But I suppose if they play this world's scariest 3-drop, then this is slightly worse. But if they don't, then it is slightly better. That is not the world's scariest 3-drop. Cohort to play. Sure, I like that better than Koi. Well, yeah, since we hold up the Rebuke here. If I do wait, I get to draw and discard off of Koi. Off of both of the Cohort creatures. Can they pay... Can't be spent on an artifact spell. Yeah, they can pay for Rebuke with a Power Stone, I'm pretty sure. Probably scary enough. We'll Rebuke that. Hello, Chrome Courier. Not going to cast you right now, but I certainly don't mind you for later. Should I play this land? I think I probably should. Because I can definitely see universe where we cast Chrome Courier next turn. Like, let's say we top deck another land, we cast Chrome Courier, and then we draw a 4-drop. Then we'd need the 3 mana for Courier. We need to play our land this turn and our land next turn and the 4 mana for whatever we drew off of the Courier. Plus, we could Static Net and Courier in the same turn if we draw land, which is also relevant. So while we do have the Koi to get rid of any extra lands that we have, I don't think these are extras yet. Okay, Danitha's the draw. So I need Courier to hit a land to play Static Net in the same turn, which I probably want to do. I want to clear out the Savvy Hunter. It didn't hit a land, oh shoot. Maybe the Koi will. I feel like whatever I draw here, I'm gonna discard to the Koi to pick up a land. Most likely. I'll take the Oaken Siren though. Land. Yeah. Goodbye, Oaken Siren then. And let's just Static Net pre-combat to hit for 1 more damage. They're not going to block the Scrapwork cohort, so I absolutely could post-combat the Static Net, but then I hit for 1 less damage. Hello, Recommission. Recommission is really nice with Skyswimmer Koi. All flyers all day, right? So we recommission the Oaken Siren, draw and discard, so if we hit a different flyer, we discard Danitha. I think Rebuke is probably a little better than Danitha. Because it looks like this is just going to completely come down to flyers here. So if I can keep the Rebuke to counter a removal spell or reach creature or something, that does seem pretty relevant. Danitha, though, less so. Alright, there's the concession from our opponent. Turns out blue-white flyers are good. The duality of Gauntlet continues. The deck we drafted is pretty dang solid. The plays were pretty dang loose, though. That is just the constant state of being for me. Yeah, I think earlier kind of justified it to myself, the main phase turn lesson for the extra life, but like 1 extra point of life, having the Rebuke up would be super fair there. I don't think we would have ended up countering the thing, so we still would have Stern Lesson in the end step, but we could always just Stern Lesson in the end step. And there are plenty of other lines like that, like the Justiciar over Recommission, because I'm like, no, Oaken Siren's blue, I can't Oaken Siren. Yes, you can. Recommission's not a blue card. Lots of sloppy stuff there, but good deck is good, and we are 2-0 anyway, heading into game 3. This is the sickest hand so far. Ingenious Smith Recommission is just a wombo combo. Especially against red. Red has the best cheap removal, like Voltage Surge and stuff. And Ingenious Smith, because it keeps getting bigger throughout the game, is the kind of card they're going to want to kill ASAP. And if they do, then I can reanimate it and get extra value. we send a message here, send in the Thraben Inspector. It is strictly the wrong play, because now they get to hit us with Tomb Raider even if they don't play an artifact. So they're probably going to play an artifact. No, my message cost me a life. Oh, it didn't. They're just going to hold back on blocks. Sure. I could hold up Rebuke instead of going for Ingenious Smith right now, just in case they have double removal. But if they have double removal, they'll get it anyway, because this only triggers once per turn. So even if I play 2 artifacts in the same turn, I can't get Ingenious Smith out of reach. Yeah, just reanimate it. Yeah, like I can make it a 3/3, and that's as big as I can make it. So if they have another Voltage Surge to do the 4 damage, they're gonna get it. I only get to play 1 additional +1/+1 counter per turn on the Smith. Suppose if I waited, since I do have an instant speed artifact, I could make it a 4/4 when they untap before their draw step. So that would be something. Okay. I think Cloud Guard looks best here. This looks like a race for sure. And that is the quickest card we have. Race-wise. 3 Power Flyer and a Chump Block. Could have held the Inspector back so we could double block Tomb Raider, but they could just put a Bone Splitter on it and they'd kill the 1/1 and the 1/2 if I double block anyway. Or they can just Dowsing Device trigger it. And that would also kill the 1/2 and 1/1 on a double block. Cool. Okay. Cohort and hold up Wrestler mana. Seems legit. Yeah, our opponent's already over it. Ingenious Smith recommissions too much. Try to make sure find the right play here. I'm thinking that holding up Rebuke could definitely be an option. I don't think we play Razor Tide Bridge this turn no matter what. So it's either Cohort and Island to Rebuke or Cohort, Island, and Wrestler. I guess we get to do both, right? Yeah, I'm a doofus. We get to do both. We get to Cohort right now, send in the whole team. Well, no Inspector. And then we have Cogwork Wrestler or Metallic Rebuke, depending on what they do, because we have the artifacts to improvise. And we don't need to play Wrestler until they do something. All right. Sweet stuff again. The brain is mush again. But the deck carries us, and we are 3-0, undefeated, at least a 50-50 run, heading into round 4. All right, here we are for game 4. We're on the play again. I don't know if we've ever been on the draw with this deck yet. Maybe once. Definitely been on the play the vast majority of the games. All right. Perfect curve here. Thraben Inspector, part of what makes it so awesome is it gives you a 1 and 2 mana play. Okay, Patchwork Automaton is quite threatening in this format. Every time they cast an artifact, it gets +1/+1 counter, and it's really hard to kill it. It's got that Ward 2 to make your removal even more expensive to actually deal with it. I could gamble on them playing a single artifact and try to get the double block with Cogwork Wrestler going. But that seems really easy to not work out. If they just cast a 1-mana and a 2-mana artifact, that play crumples. It's probably best to just get our 3-mana play going here. Alright, there's the 2-mana artifact. Do they got the 1-mana artifact as well? Yeah, so just holding off on the Cogwork Wrestler and hoping to get the kill on Automaton would have been horrific. Alright. They know about this Rebuke, so it's definitely weaker. Does that mean it's not worth holding up, though? If I hold it up, all I get to do is play a Cogwork Wrestler right now. But I don't even think a 3/3 flyer is particularly good on this board anyway. I feel like their potential 3 or 4 mana plays are going to be more impactful to this game than ours is, so we might as well skip ours to try to stop theirs. Yeah, like Batterfist here already feels more impactful than Sky Swimmer. But I still think I gotta let that resolve, because at least it's really low toughness, so we can kill it. In order to hold up Rebuke next turn, I need 2 artifacts on board. If I want to play Sky Swimmer coin, hold up Rebuke, so kind of think I have to play a pretty mediocre Cogwork Wrestler just to have double artifact on board. Well, that's GG. It's 2 games where the revealed Metallic Rebuke has been super awkward for us. But yeah, we can't counter the Smelter, so now they get to turn all of their Vermeerden equipment into 3-1 bodies, which means they have 3 more 3-1s eventually. That's 7 creatures on board, all with like 3 power apiece. Smelter is definitely super lethal here. Not like immediate lethal, not literal insta-lethal, but over time, it's going to be terrible for us. Oh, if they've got an instant speed artifact for this automaton, we're screwed, because even if I counter it, it still gets the +1/+1 counter. Alright, actually do get the kill on that at least. We could top deck Static Net. That's about all we can hope for now. Rebuke is no longer up, sadly, because one of our artifacts died, but we didn't really have any choice. Scrapwork Cohort. Alright, that's not what I am looking for. I actually kind of think I might have to Bardiche here. Why is the auto tapper an idiot? I think I need to Bardiche here so that I can Oaken Siren and put the Bardiche on it to have a big enough flyer to compete against the Thopter token with a bunch of equipment on it. Oh boy. Another rabbit battery. Five power flyer now. Nope, they go for the 4 power flyer and turn the Batterfist into a 3-1. Chrome Courier, okay. Chump block plus life gain is real. If I play the Oaken Siren, I have exactly enough mana to play it and put the Bardiche onto it, but then I don't have Rebuke up anymore, but they only have 1 card in hand and they've known about Rebuke all game, so I don't really think odds if there be something, being something left to counter are super high. We chump here, we try to go for the kill. Let's see if we get got by removal. Step out of it. They've been playing off the top for a couple turns now with that demand answers. We're dead to a lot of stuff. They could just play another creature, put a rabbit battery on it, and sack the Rust Veil Bridge, and that's 4 attackers. And then we die because we can only block 2. Yeah, I guess I probably should have went for the courier play. Because it's not like just removal that we're dead to here, it's also a cheap enough creature. It'd have to be a 3 mana or less creature, but we'd be dead. 3 mana for the creature, 1 for the battery, 1 for the 3/1. Bone Splitter. Okay, we're probably dead to Bone Splitter too. It's not a creature though. Or a removal spell. So they would have to find a clever way to kill us. Yeah, they're doing something here for sure. Okay, we're not dead. Cool. Oh, actually, we probably would have been dead if they just unconfigured a rabbit battery. Maybe not. I don't know. Now they have 3 attackers. So I need to... Oh boy. Ingenious Smith plus Chrome Courier is only 2 blockers, but I gain 2 and I'm at 4. I could Ingenious Smith and Cohort for 3 blockers up, but then I don't have Rebuke up again. I think I have to Ingenious Smith first, either way I do it, because we want to counter on that thing. I guess it's literally just going to trade off anyway. Yeah, no, it's just Ingenious Smith Cohort, I think. It's the only real option. That's interesting. If Chrome Courier finds a land, I could Chrome Courier just Disappear here. But that is a risk I don't think I should be willing to take. So Ingenious Smith and the 1/1 block the 3/1s, and the Cohort blocks the 3/3 Smelter. Or if they move all the equipment around somewhere, then we just put a 1/1 chump blocker under the 4/4 Smelter or whatever they're going to do with their equipment. They have sacked 2 of their lands to make sure that if we ever have the breathing room to hold up Metallic Rebuke, it might actually do something. I don't know if we're ever going to get that breathing room, though. Well, if we survive another turn, then I'm just naturally going to have it up. I have 6 mana, only 5 mana worth of spells. Although Chrome Courier definitely draws a spell. Visions of... I thought you discarded that. Oh my god, they've got the double? 2 of the same rare? Huge late game card draw engine, which is kind of perfect here. That's gonna grind out the win for our opponent if we don't do something quick. I feel like our best bet here is gonna be Bardishing up a Chrome Courier and hitting for 4 a turn. Let's see what the Courier finds. Daneth Static Net. Oh, there we go. There we go. Pick up the Static Net. Tempted as I am to exile the Smelter, kind of feel like I have to exile the Visions of Phyrexia. It's just safer. Yeah, stop the giant card draw engine. Oof, Scrapper Mutt's a good draw. I guess at least they don't have the expendable cards for it yet to discard and draw. They might be able to find lethal on board with some unconfigures and stuff again. There's 5 attackers if they put a battery on the Mutt. Whoa, sack the mutt so they can unearth it next turn for more attackers? Yeah, that makes sense. So then next turn they sack the Power Stone and they have like 6 attacking creatures to try to find lethal. Okay, double lifelinker's a pretty big deal. 5, 7, 8 mana here. I can cast both Justiciars and equip the Bardiche if I don't hold up Metallic Rebuke. Metallic Rebuke, definitely the biggest underperformer of this game specifically. I could play a single Justiciar and hope it's enough. One, two, three, four, five, 6 attackers. 6 attackers, we gain 2 on blocks and block 5 of the 6. This should be enough. I'm having a hard enough time keeping up with what's going on this game from my side of the table. I cannot imagine my opponent here trying to find lethal a bunch of different ways. Oh, get 3 1/1s. Those can't be sacked to this though, right? It only sacks artifacts? Yeah. Okay, I mean 3 1/1s is bad. Even if I rebuke, they spend this and the 2 white, and they still have the unearthed mana, so rebuke is useless here anyway. Alright, so 3 1/1s is bad, but it's not insta-lethal bad. Alright, just sack the unearthed for a permanent 3/1. We're getting real close to deadity dead. Ooh. You know, I could Bardiche up just to see her.
Together, we are unstoppable.
Gain some life on a swing, but it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, but I'll gain more life off of the swing than I would off of the block later. Would deal less damage to them, though. Deal 0 instead of 3. Play 2 artifacts this turn. That's going to be 3 toughness. Give it a 4th toughness with Bardiche. I still trade with just a 3/1, but I think that is actually probably worth it. Trade with a 3/1, gain 6. Instead of on blocks, trade with a 3/1 and gain 2. Goldmire Bridge is not a dead draw, so Kens and Smelter just going absolutely wild this game. That gives them an expendable card to make a 3/1. Bone Splitter and the Rabbit Batteries are definitely less expendable than the Bridge. Unless they actually do have a black card in their deck, then maybe they'll keep it around. But it could just be in there for the artifact land. I'm pretty happy to trade a Scrapwork Cohort into this if they make it 3 toughness. If they keep it 2 toughness, I might just this year here. Okay, no. They're just flip-flapping things around, as you do. I'm not doing the math this game. I don't know when I die. That's our opponent's prerogative. Math is for opponents. I know I'm the one technically on blockers here, but I'm not doing the math. I don't know when they can attack me and try to get lethal. I'll just wait till they send in with everybody and I'll see if there's any way to survive. Maybe I'll get 3 more swings in with Chrome Courier and we'll win, and maybe we won't. And we'll die. Well, now that I have double rebuke, we will actually counter their next spell. They can pay for the first one, but not the second. Even if they cast a 0 mana spell. Yeah, right? This the play? Oh, hold up. We have double rebuke. They can't kill this Ingenious Smith with whatever they're going to try to do. Double rebuke anything. This actually puts us pretty far ahead. Especially if they didn't even have something, then it's really good for us. All right. Oh, recommission? Another Chrome Courier, gain some more life and get a bigger flyer? Yeah, don't mind if I do. That is really good here. I think that's better than the Oaken Siren because it hits just as hard. And it also draws me a card and gains me life. I guess it doesn't have the Vigilance, which would be nice. Oh boy. Oh boy. Cast Filigree Attendant, I'm only holding up 1 rebuke. But I'm killing them next turn if I do cast the Attendant. Feels worth it. I'm already killing them next turn. That's 5 flying damage on board. Well... I don't know if double rebuke or Attendant is better then. Probably double rebuke. But yeah, I don't have enough blue mana to do both. All right, there's the concession. That was a long one. Again, I have no idea how any of that combat math works out with Smelter and 2 Rabbit batteries and a Bone Splitter that kind of been moving around all over the place and all different options to sack. So, we just sit there and keep attacking and hoping it works out, and it did eventually. So we managed to stay undefeated some way, somehow. Don't ask me. We are now 3-0. Actually, are we 4-0 now? We're 4-0 for a positive win rate no matter what, as we head into game number 5. All right, here we are for game 5. World's most obvious cogwork wrestler. Thanks, Arena. Holding with 1 blue mana up. But maybe they'll play a haste creature and send in. 1 toughness haste creature, come on. Oh, no. I'm done with Smelter math. I don't want it. I don't want it in my life. I'm just gonna get artifacts on boards. These rebukes are free soon. Next turn I can drop Courier, hold up Rebuke because I've played all these out. But I would not have been able to otherwise. Arcbound Tracker, dang. That gets in underneath our Rebuke, which is not beautiful for us. No there, buddy. We're holding up Rebuke game. Well, kill the Arcbound Tracker, preferably before they play another artifact. So if they cast another artifact creature here, we will counter it. So that we can kill Tracker without moving the counters around. I think I actually just Smelter away the Tracker. How does that work? Does this get to make the 3-1 before they move the counters? I guess we'll find out. Probably does. Okay, they're not going to do it. We will not find out. Show me the counter. I've got the disenchant for the tracker, so we'll kill the smelter then. Or show me the trick and I'll counter. Alright, Metallic Rebuke back to being OP incredible card. And Ingenious Smith is not an artifact, so goodbye Arcbound Tracker. Oh, and they missed on the Ingenious Smith too? Filthy. I have 2 more Rebukes in hand. I'm about to be the world's most annoying player, and this is going to be very obvious, but they can't really play around it with only 3 lands. There's nothing they can do. They can just not cast spells. They can just skip their turn for the rest of the game. There's our own Ingenious Smith. What do you find? Mouser? Sure. I don't have the white mana for that. Once again, holding the Chrome Courier up. I would be so frustrated if I saw my opponent not attack with the Chrome Courier there. Just be like, really? 3rd Rebuke? That is literally the only reason not to do that. Alright. No more Rebukes. Play a mouse. Pre-combat to get the extra damage in. Guess I probably should have played Justice here. Being choked on just 1 white source here is awkward. There we go, there's another one. No longer have attacks against the Cloud Guard. Danitha here. Yeah, Danitha looks like she'll be pretty decent if they don't have more artifacts coming up. Yeah, now we're just trying to play only 1 artifact a turn until the Ingenious Smith is big enough to get in there. Ancestral Blade is super good. I could have really used one of those in this deck. We were hoping, but we never saw one. Yep, buff up the flyer. They racing? Be a bold race. We got 3 lifelinking power on board. They are not racing. There's Bardiche for only 4 mana thanks to Danitha. Bardiche is a pretty big deal here. Slap it on one of the flyers or the Danitha, and that is pretty huge. Wait, why are you not auto-tapping the... Oh, you are. Okay, I just thought it was... I thought it was tapping the Razor-type bridge, too. The big glowiness got me confused. Life, I'll take this trump. Plus we have Recommission in our deck. Recommissioning Chrome Couriers is pretty great. Definitely better than Cogwork Wrestlers. Enraged Giant is the play. Kinda wanna do this Bardiche and Danitha. Ardishing an Oaken Siren is immediate damage, though, and then a trade on blocks against the Cloud Guard. 1 mana off from moving Bardiche and actually doing something with my life, though. It's like actually casting a spell this turn. Yeah, if I move Bardiche, all I'm doing this turn is moving Bardiche. Oops. Feels a little better not to move it, then. Whoa. We about to get like +2/+0 to everybody or something. +2/+1 to everybody on the job, or there's a lot of those effects in this format. There's on the job at common, there's the red one at common that's +2/+0 to everybody, and there's a white uncommon that's +2/+1 to everybody. No, just Cloud Guard still. Batter Fist. That is not the mana I need to play a spell and move Bardiche, but it is an insta-lethal flying threat. Oh yeah, this is Vigilance. Send in the Vigilant friends. Trump Cloud Guard with Siren and then kill them with Attendant? No. Alright. They're at 7 with 4 blockers up. Block, 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 block. Take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shoot. Please don't play an artifact this turn. Please don't play an artifact this turn. Oh, they can just put the blade on the Ingenious Smith or the Enraged Giant. Shoot. Wanted to get a good Daneth attack in. Oh, they put the Batter Fist there? Well, yeah, just making that 5 toughness still works too. Make the other one 5 toughness. Well, I lost my Oaken Siren, so I can't Justiciar and put Bardiche on somebody. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So, crack a clue, drop a Justiciar. Hello. Hello. That's my chump block. That's my chump block in the sky. Draw a card as well. Oh my god, draw a Cloud Guard. Huge. If I send in just this, I'm trading it into Enraged Giant, or I'm trading it into their Smith. If I send in more stuff like this, then they're killing this for free, killing this for free, chumping the 7. Trading there, they only take like 2 damage, even if I send in the whole board. And if I send in the 7/7, I'm only killing 1 of the 2 gigantic beefy creatures. They can make Cloud Guard 3 toughness off of Ancestral Blade. They can't make it bigger though, so if I can get Arcbound Mouser to die, Chrome Courier's already big enough to trade. And just gaining a life is relevant no matter what. Alright, cool. So now Chrome Courier's big enough to trade into the Cloud Guard even if it's equipped. We've both drawn a very low land count this game. Especially me for how deep I am in the library here. That's pretty lucky. I mean, more lands would have been helpful. Being able to, yeah, Bardiche and just this year in the same turn would have been really useful a couple turns in a row, so it's like pure luck here, but it is still valuable to just have all action. Been a lot of huge boards and a lot of really thinky games in today's draft. All the so Kens and Smelter nonsense, and yeah, now this big back and forth. Yeah, we take those trades. Oh boy, I'm surprised they went for the trade with a War Whip coming up, but I guess they can War Whip the Giant, and that's horrific. Yeah, that War Whip is super threatening. Also gives them considerably better blocks as well. God dang. Well, we try to have a wide enough board state to survive the double striking giant for a few turns, so I can hit them for 5 in the sky 2 turns in a row to kill them. Feels like what we've got going. Actually, our Ingenious Smith can just trade into a double striking giant. We get trampled over a little, but not enough. And then I can chump block everything else because that's their only trample creature. Feels like a plan to me. Ingenious Smith on the Enraged Giant, get trampled over for 2. I guess get trampled over for 4 when they put a barbed thing there too. But then chump block everything else for the rest of the game while I kill them with Cloud Guard. If they don't top deck removal quickly. No! If they immediately top deck removal, then I'm not going to have the trade into the giant on blocks. Okay. I was thinking of the outcome where we trade into giant on blocks and then they top deck removal to kill the Cloud Guard. But this is potentially even worse. Guess we'll find out. It means they don't have the mana to equip the War Whip this turn. So we get the first swing, but I don't know if we have enough toughness to live. If we do, we might win, but it looks like they've drawn exclusively spells still. Still don't have the 6th land in hand. Yeah, so if that last card is another removal spell, they just kill the Cloud Guard and win. Okay, well, we'll see. See if it is all gas, no brakes here. Or we barely survive and kill them next turn. It's cost all of their mana to do that, right? Yeah. So it's not lethal, right? And then they're tapped out and we kill them. 12 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They basically have to let them kill my whole board except the Cloud Guard and then kill them with Cloud Guard. If they have Mountain into Voltage Surge to kill Cloud Guard, I lose pretty much no matter how I block anyway, so I might as well block with as much as possible to really make sure I don't mess up the math there. Okay. Ooh, they put the fear in me with that Mountain into Spell, but it was not Mountain into Voltage Surge. So we once again narrowly find the victory. There was some really close games today. We are now 5-0 in the money out of this draft. However things go from here. All right, here we are on game number 6, undefeated so far. We are on the draw this game. We get to roll out with Ingenious Smith to start things off. I could Cogwork Wrestler turn 1 to make Rebuke a little cheaper, but with Ingenious Smith in hand, I do want as many possible artifacts to be cast on later turns as possible. Although drawing the second Rebuke makes things a little awkward. Opponent starts with Ongoing Investigation, so they can get a bunch of clues and stuff. They could be like a Fleeting Memories type deck, trying to get enough clues to mill us out or something. Let's Justiciar and Wrestler during their turn to make Smith a 3-power creature. And then Rebukes should be easy to cast on future turns. Weirding Wood, yep. Investigate gets some mana. They are that kind of deck. Try to be as aggressive as possible. Maybe to the point where we're playing Scrapwork Cohort this turn. Yeah, I kind of think we have to, right? If I hold up Rebuke, I'm casting nothing right now. So it's gotta be better to cast something here. And if I Cohort, I double buff Justiciar and hit for the maximum damage here. Yeah. Keep the pressure on while they have no creatures on board. Try to beat them down before they do any really big explosive late game plays. Which they probably have if they're playing Weirding Wood for just a pure ramp spell. You don't usually play those unless you've got some big 5 and 6 drops that can do a lot of work. Okay, now I can Cloud Guard holding up Rebuke, and we'll do it pre-combat to buff Justiciar and Smith. So very solid land draw this turn. Send in the whole team, they get a free kill on a 1-1, but whatever. That would mean I'm hitting for well over lethal if they do that. 7, 8 damage right now. There's Gaia's Gift. Oh shoot, I'm not actually holding up Rebuke. I needed to attack with one less creature to hold that up. Doesn't matter that much on that block because the Gaia's Gift didn't even save, or didn't even kill my creature. And it looks like it doesn't matter in the long run. This is just a ridiculously aggressive curve out against a very slow start from our opponent. So just the free win here. And we are now 6 wins in a row, undefeated, as we head into the final battle with 3 rounds in the chamber, 3 shots at a 7-win run. Here we are for the final battle with our opponent on the play. I like this hand outside of the fact that our white source is a tapped white source, so I don't actually get to Mouser turn 1, but Mouser turn 2, Courier turn 3. Perfectly solid, perfectly reasonable start. I can Mouser and Wrestler on turn 2, which could be relevant if they attack in with a 2-2 against our Arcbound Mouser. It's just like, oops, I actually kill it, which, if they try to get in with the Ingenious Smith, would be nuts for me. I doubt they will, but if we're really lucky, then they will. Play an artifact to make it a 2-2. They've got a red source up, so they could have Voltage Surge in response. If they send in and we try to double block. Let's see. I stop the damage no matter what. If they don't have exactly Voltage Surge, this should be fantastic. And even if they have Voltage Surge, they have to use it to kill a 1-drop now. They have to Voltage Surge a Wrestler. Oh, they don't. Let's go. Premium stuff from Cogwork Wrestler. We take those. Now there's our own Ingenious Smith. If they had the Surge to kill the Smith, they would have saved their own instead there. So let's cast ours right now and see if it hits. I don't think we have another 1-mana blue artifact. Actually, so we don't need to do this pre-combat. But another Chrome Courier? I think we take more card draw, get really ahead in card advantage here. That seems fine to me. We send in the lifelinker. The trade is fine, we just buff up the Wrestler. If they don't want to trade, that's fine too, we'll just gain a life. Alright, cool. Cool with me. X-Gold Hoverwings. Hello, 3-2 Flyer. Welcome. Our Wrestler trade is perfectly solid, so we'll just send in the Wrestler and then do stuff main phase 2. There would be a tiny argument for maybe disenchanting the hoverwings if they block here. We'd save the wrestler and we'd get rid of the +1/+0 to all their equipped creatures. Okay, if they don't block, then obviously it doesn't matter. All right, I think we need to draw land here, but we can draw land off of Lesson or Courier. So let's go. They're both just as likely, right? Draw 2, discard 1. This is draw the best card of the top 2. Either one, if there's a land in the top 2, we get it. So let's put more creatures on board. Try to get the land in the top 2. Perfect. Sorry, Danitha, but you're not that great in this deck. We only have the 1 equipment, so goodbye, my friend. All right. Second Ingenious Smith. Ingenious Smith, maybe the card of the day. We've played with and against it a lot this draft. Although, we did get multiple Smelters in a row, and those were some of our longest games, so maybe Smelters card of the day. War Whip as well. This is multiple War Whips in a row, too. All right, we want to hit a land again. I maybe should have Stern Lesson just because the Power Stone is kind of like a land for us. Shoot. Yes, I do really want a mana again, so let us... I do need another white source, though, so it was probably fine to be on Courier instead. Because we really like... Another Plains is so much more valuable than a Power Stone. But a Power Stone is still value. I don't know. If I draw any land off of Stern Lesson here, I'm holding up Disenchant when I go to combat, which is pretty big, so... Let's Stern Lesson over Courier this time. Ooh, I've got Recommission. So I think I still ditched the Cohort, though, because I already have good stuff to unearth with Danitha, and I can lose a Chrome Courier really easily. Man, it's not another white source, I just realized again. So I can still only play 1 white spell for turn, or per turn. This only goes bad for me if they double block. All right. I could have also destroyed the Hexgold Hoverwings in response, and then traded Ingenious Smith into that 2/2 double strike. But I want to leave Ingenious Smith on the board, obviously. No! Well, it's gone. Have not drawn any of our 3 rebukes this game, so no way to protect our stuff. I can recommission it, though, actually. Hold up, never mind. They just gave me the best recommission target ever. I'm no longer disappointed. Well, I still kind of am, because that costs my white mana, which I'm really taxed on right now. $11 to 15. This will be a close one, for sure. Hey, there we go. All right. 4 mana for whatever after this. Probably Koi. I guess that would mean I don't play an artifact this turn, though. We'll see what Ingenious Smith hits. Filigree Attendant? We have redirected our plans. It's Attendant time. That thing is huge. Large and in charge. They got 2 cards left here. We're down to 11. We don't really have blockers we want to use. Ooh. Hangerback Walkers. Gross. When it dies, they get 3 1/1 flyers right now. and the longer it sticks around, the more counters it gets on it, and the more flyers they get when it dies. Basically, if this dies, we can never hit them again. They just have infinite chump blockers. They're at 12? They're sending all this in with 1 mana up? Hold up. I hit for 5, 6 in the sky, and 2 on the ground. I hit for 8 damage right now. 9, 10. That's 2 more power to Attendant. It's also a 3 power haste creature, so they block Ingenious Smith. They block that, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this will be 5, 6, 7. 6 plus 7 is 13. We just kill them, right? If they don't have a 1-drop. I'm pretty sure it's on board lethal too. I only need to cohort to kill them, but I'm going to go overboard just in case. Just in case I am bad at math. We'll make Filigree Attendant just completely absurdly big. Super lethal? Nine, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 here. Huge work from Filigree Attendant this game. Super close one in the end yet again. 4 life and a dream. That dream is to go back to Alara. I want to play with more Esper cards like Filigree Attendant. This one's a Modern Horizons card, not an original Shards of Alara card, but it is still a reference to the original Shards of Alara Esper colored artifacts that were super cool. Shards of Alara is just an absolute classic for me. That was the set that was around when I first started playing. I'm so ready to return to Alara. Jund, Esper, Naya, Grixis, Bant are also iconic. But alas, we must wait years to come because they still haven't announced a return to Alara anytime soon. All right, there's the concession from our opponent, and that is officially another 7-win run, fully undefeated. This deck wasn't that spicy or that cool, coming off the heels of our 7-0 Metalwork Colossus deck. So this doesn't feel as good as that run because that deck was really unique. We got to do some super wild things we didn't do with anything else. This deck is somewhat similar to our last like 7-2 blue-white deck. Like we've done some of this kind of stuff before in a lot of different decks. We've rebuked it up a lot. We've Filigree Attendant killed, even in our last deck, right? This was in our blue-red deck? I don't remember. No, it was in our last blue-white, our 5-3 blue-white deck, I think. We've Ingenious Smith before. Yeah, nothing super unique, nothing we really haven't played with all that much, outside of like Recommission. Recommission, I was really, really happy with this in this deck. We recommissioned Ingenious Smith multiple times, and that's just a sick combo. Being able to recommission anything that has a good enter the battlefield trigger to draw you another card is just excellent. So this is a huge combo with Ingenious Smith and with the double Courier. The Couriers, because they're super expendable, you chump block with them all the time. It's going to constantly be engraved to make the recommission very consistent. Same with Thraben Inspector. It's very similar to Courier in that way. But then it's also great with Ingenious Smith because the card is just so scary. It's going to draw removal from your opponent often. So then you get to reanimate it, have your big threat on board again, and draw another card when it hits the board. Just really excellent stuff from the recommission. It's probably the most unique thing going on with this deck. Simply because we've done, triple rebuke decks in the past. That's been pretty similar. If I had to give an overperformer and an underperformer, we probably do give Rebuke the underperformer by a little bit, because I do speak this card's praises a lot, and there was a game or two in here where they were like revealed the whole time, so our opponent could play around them pretty easily. But again, even in that kind of scenario, it did stop our opponent from just like dumping their whole hand out real quick, because they knew that if they did that, we would Rebuke their last spell. So it still probably got our opponents to slow down. Like, we'll never know because their hand is not revealed information. But in the games that we had revealed rebukes, our opponents constantly had extra mana up at the end of their turn that they weren't spending on more spells. They were just spending it on moving equipment around and stuff. So probably did slow opponents down even when they were revealed. And for the biggest overperformer, Probably recommission, because it's not the kind of card you should put in every deck. It is not a card that is consistently great, but it is a card that was very good today in this particular build. Again, with really good expendable creatures that have great enter the battlefield effects like the Courier and the Inspector, and especially Ingenious Smith, because not only does it have the great ETB, but it's also kind of a bomb, a really scary creature you can reanimate with it. So big ups to Recommission as the sweetest card unexpectedly today. So 7-0 run, full prize out today for a really sweet draft of the Remix Draft Artifacts format. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and are interested in seeing more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.